we'll always meet that one in our lives. It's just that person. It gives us special emotions. I love that person with my mind and soul. That's it. You can't be with that person. Keep walking side by side on the path of a long life and full of this hardship. That's part of the short story. A promise in the rain was sent by the reader. The rain rustling by the glass door. And minutes ago, spaces still dyed a burning yellow of that 35-degree sun. That's it now. The big clouds are weaving a thin gray film. It covers the whole sky. Just wind and rain. But I feel like I'm watching a meal. Represent every branch of the tree. Each leaf are gracefully spinning themselves under the artistic guidance of the wind. And we're all immersed in a funky music called the first rain of the season. The sudden rain like this, not so strange in the West. Their appearance and departure are always unexpected, and it's impossible to predict. As well as a road, some kind of love for each of us in this life. The rain was melting. I pushed the door out. Running up the nose was a warmth from the ground, mixed with the freshness of the raindrops. There's moisture in the air right now. It's stirring in my every breath. That's probably pretty good, because they help dispel some of that, the stifling of the smog on the road. Off work this afternoon. Look at the water in front of you. I sighed silently. I chose to wear a pair of white shoes today. Hold the bag in your lap. I started to get on my knees for momentum. Prepare for a proper jump. But the leg that just inched, it's been gripped by the AI. A son's deep voice echoed behind me. Don't be a jerk. I'll drive for you. I looked back and saw Nam looking at me, like a child caught in the tongue. When you hide, you play in the water. I put the key in his hand with a beaming smile. I think you're more handsome today than ever. He laughed and used his long legs easily past the road full of small cracked ponds. My heart secretly wishes, if only he'd done a little sports. Then, now maybe a few inches of height is added. It will be very convenient for many things. For example, talking to my son. You won't have neck fatigue anymore. And he was driving and he put a raincoat in my hand. I pushed the shirt back. You don't have to. It stopped raining. You keep it. The season or rain, suddenly you take it. I know if it rains, you'll come back. Not looking for shelter. I laughed awkwardly. I accept it because the words are not wrong. After seeing for sure that I put my shirt in the trunk of my car, he was reassured to leave. I drove the car into the city. Behind me there are some rays of light fading when hiding. The traffic lights at the intersection are working. At the end of my power, from long lines of cars that keep following each other. For me, this time off is like a battle. In swordplay movies, I often watch each army marching with weapons in hand. AI is also in a state of heightened attention. When the time comes, they will destroy the enemy. Even right now, if I let my eyes wander for a few seconds, there will be another car coming up and take up space. In battles that melt away every day, then I feel like I'm okay. It's called a visionary warrior. But today I don't want to rush. Just because the little raindrops came by in the middle of this dry season, it fills my heart with the color of memory. Here is your coffee. 5 years put a glass of iced milk coffee on my desk and pulled the chair to my desk. I looked at the glass of water in front of me and said, you don't have to buy it every day. I can buy it myself. Sugar money only. Give me 3 short letters. And stare at the computer screen. I silently sighed in my heart. Although there have been a few rejections, He comes to the company every morning, coffee in your hand, and put it on my desk. I have a little regret myself. When I accidentally talked about a place that sells very good coffee near where she is. He typed a few words on the machine and looked at me. Are you cleaning this weekend? I'm straining my little eyes to edit a detail in the design pattern. That's right, you know. Lie down over there. Yesterday I heard you talking to me and my sister. Or when hovering the mouse for details about the exact location you want. I turned to see Nam staring at me. But very quickly, he's been looking at the design on my machine. Nam said, the circle is deflected. I hurried back, continued to focus on editing. It's unfinished. And I forgot that strange look from Nam. Customer, I suddenly wanted to see the logo in the early afternoon. So this afternoon, I'm working quickly on my desk with some pastries. Suddenly a fragrant lunchbox was brought to the side of the face. Tightares. Nam puts the lunchbox in his hand on his desk. Then Nam pushed my chair over there, and he sat where I started editing the logo. You can eat this style and adjust the letters, right? I'll do it for you. I looked at Nam. Like a Buddha in a fairy tale, he's not allowed to change, but saved this hungry stomach of mine. You're even more handsome today. Nam laughed happily. Is there anything else? I'm looking at this juicy yellow steak lying on the white rice grains. Is having to call the hunger rake in my stomach. I forced my mouth to say, it smells good. The year suddenly stopped. Hover over and look at me, and I'm about to put a piece of meat in my mouth. Enjoy. He laughed and shook his head and kept working. A Sunday begins with a cold day. The morning dew still lingers in the green leaf. Feeling like this makes me think I'm enjoying a holiday in Dalat. When the sun comes out, the eastern cloud, covered in a sheet of silk, yellow sun down the road. I'm sitting under a big tree. Sometimes there will be a little wine passing by. Fresh air like this, it's been a long time since I experienced it again. Watch a piece of bread put in your mouth. Look at the cars on the road. Weekend, so everyone's pace is slowing down. Maybe AI is also taking advantage of a little air intake. Literally charge yourself green energy. After a week of hectic fighting with subsistence in society, Nam gave me a hot cup of cacao. I looked at the friend who woke me up at 5:30 on this rare day off to hear the sound of knocking on the door. I tried to pretend to go and keep brewing in my cocoon, but Nam's patience. I've always overcome my laziness. He stood outside the door for almost 20 minutes, but when I opened the door, my face is calm as every day, leaning against the statue by the door, laughing. Take a walk and have breakfast, and then I'll help you clean up. A South Korean saying is always like that, though brief, but always make the enemy understand the industry. The whole story. I've been friends with him since high school, but I still can't understand Nam's thoughts. Sometimes you will feel close, but sometimes it's strange. It's like the fog this morning. Actually, you don't have to come clean for me. Everything I packed, almost everything. There are just a few things I use every day. I turned to look at the south. That straight nose. I've probably been through a lot of girls' hearts. Man, drink some coffee. Look at the two old men holding hands on the side of the road. Say, laugh happily. I'm free today. I laugh if that's the case. Thank you in advance. Nam put his coffee in my cacao cup. Nothing one meal is enough. I gladly reached out my hand and signed my agreement with him. We started going back to our rooms and packing. The man in charge of cleaning helped me with the desk below, and I'll pack my clothes upstairs. After a while, Nam Vang's call came up. Don thou, I'm holding a little box and I'm coming down to him. Nam is standing with his back to me. Put the box in a corner. I was just about to step over and ask him what's wrong. But when I look at the notebook and the picture on Tae Nam, my heart tightened. I'm in a hurry to get those two things back and quickly put it in a nearby bookcase. Try to keep your voice calm. Reading someone else's diary is not a good thing. You're my best friend, so I skipped it. I'll clean up the rest of the place. You helped me bring the boxes upstairs. Maybe the truck is too. He said it was incomplete, so he turned around. I'm looking straight at you again. I feel the power and the heat from his fingers on my shoulder. Don't live in the past anymore. This is the first time I can see the emotions in Nam's eyes, a presence of sadness and anger. Face down. I don't want to face eyes like that X-ray. I can see through all my heart right now. I don't understand what you're talking about. If you don't want to help me clean the house, you can go home. There is always a vase in our hearts, contains some kind of emotion. It can be fun or it can be sad. Day by day, the bottle will be filled and we can release them through tears, through a smile or through words. But if we try to hold them too long, when it comes to a certain point, that emotional vase will be broken. And that's Nam's situation right now. Someone who doesn't always show too much emotion, always talk politely. It's on his face now. It's a frown and a loud voice. The Emperor, he's gone. He really wasn't in this world anymore. Do you understand that? When that name is spoken, temporary stitches around my heart has begun to unfold. The flow of painful memories, like a violent wave. Tears of hot water fell on my face. Ball receiving tiles. I pushed Nam raw. I really hate Nam right now. And also my own weakness. Then how I live is my choice. What right is involved in? Step closer. Nam raised my grimy face. No longer the angry burning eyes. Loneliness and heartbreak are fusing into those deep black pupils. He said softly, "Yes, I have no right interfering in your life, but there's one thing I know very well. God wants you to live in the future. And so happy. He never wants to see you forever, embracing the shadow of the past. And then you lie to yourself and you're still alive. For 5 years you've been thinking, I am the reason the Emperor died. How many times have I told you about this? No one is to blame. His fate is short. We can't do anything else. In addition to accepting and continuing to live well, instead of the rest of him, I exasperated Southwest Raw. What do you know about heaven and me? Don't talk like you know everything. Listening is easy, but you're not an insider. How to understand how difficult it is? I don't want to hear from you anymore." Male standing motionless, joints, fingers tightened. A slightly wrinkled impression along with a complicated gaze. For a long time Nam let go. Take a deep breath and close your eyes. When the air in the lungs is pushed out, that's when those eyes return to their usual serenity. He walked past me to the door. His feet stopped. Nam said softly, "Maybe I don't understand you, but there's one thing. The Emperor and I had the same thought. That is, I always want the girl I love to have fun. Every day, when the door closes, my feet have no strength and fall to the floor." An old picture that's a little yellow, still sitting on the diary. The face of a 10-year-old boy, smiling brightly, holding a girl's hand. Small figure, shoulder hair, it's lumpy. A heavy rain came down on the porch. The cold sound made my whole body shiver. A movie of the past that slowed down in your mind. The sky was as dark as it is today. Every rain comes and goes. The sound of thunder at the door with the call of the 7 cities. I tried to drag my feet to open the door, standing outside in a wet form. The same pale face. He didn't come into the room. Just stand still and watch. My hands trembled slightly. Drops of water still on my face. Get dressed and come with me to the hospital to confirm the Emperor's identity. The rain is getting louder every day. It seems that my fever has not subsided. After the morning dose, I dreamily asked what Nam had just said. What do we do in the hospital? Nam enters the room. Follow the door that keeps out the noise of the heavy rain. His voice trembled slightly, and he uttered a sentence. Huang Tian was in a traffic accident. Nam's tears softly fell. He tried to wipe his hands again, but the tears don't stop falling. It's a terrible cold, like a venomous snake creeping from its feet. My back, we're starting to get confused. I can no longer hear all the sounds around me. The heart and breath no longer exist. I fell into a dark space. I can hear the year calling me, but then I found myself standing on a street. There are only two, black and white. Homeless and uninhabited and eerie quiet. I'm in a hurry, trying to run forward, looking for that one. There's a light ahead. That AI is standing against the light on my side. He's holding out his hand, waiting for me to grab him. The closer you come to me, the more I realized it was heaven, the son I love. I'm glad to smile and hold out my hand. Take that big hand. But before they could touch, I was gone. I stand at the end of the road. I saw a field of flowers in front of me, colorful. I quickly called out your name loud, but O-N-A, I answered. Turn around. On the road I saw you standing there. I want to run again, but the distance is getting farther and farther away from me. He stood there just smiling and gently said to me, goodbye to the girl I love. The road disappears with you. I was crying for you in the room. Wake up, son. Heavy eyelids open, Mom and B are looking at me anxiously. It turned out to be just a nightmare. Breathing in my heart, I want to ask you why you're here. I realized I had lost my voice. My mother's eyes were heavy, tears still lingering on my cheeks. It's over, you tried to get through it. Everyone will always be by your side. I looked dimly at her and didn't understand what she was talking about. Red eyes around the room. Realized that you are in the hospital. Is this our hospital? Some images started to appear, pressed in my mind. I remember Nam came looking for me with a wish form. He wanted me to go to the hospital to confirm something. A sense of fear came. I'm in a hurry to find a familiar silhouette. It hurts my mother to keep my face. Don't look for the emperor who is no longer in this world. The hot tears that flowed down, with the cry that tears my heart away, echoing through the room. A few days after appearing, Nam took me to Hong Thien's grave. A sunny afternoon, but my heart seems to have frozen. Put the bouquet down. I softly stroked the boy's face, with bright eyes in the photo. I'm so sorry that I came to see you today. You see, I'm well again. I told you that you're a very strong girl. This guy's about dreams, our common out of school, or places where we were meant to go together, and the food that I can't make for you. Enjoy everything I will do for you. I'll live well and be happy, instead of the whole part of you, so rest assured, and soon be reborn in a new life. But the truth, I couldn't fulfill that promise. If I hadn't said I was sick that day, you will not run up from the countryside, accident in the rain. Not the Kia truck driver, it's not the white rain. I am the one, has extinguished your pathogenic light. I can't forgive myself, and they have no right to live happily or happily. The better people around me treat me, I feel even worse about myself. I feel like I'm worth the pain. Suffering is more than love. The next day at the company, the boy who brings morning coffee to chill, I was absent. Nam rarely leaves work like this, but I don't have the courage either. I texted him why. The pain of losing your mind. I was accidentally a friend who was always by my side. To be hurt, The next day, the chair next to me was empty. A little nervous, a little empty, a little waiting to appear more and more. When Nam is not with me, now the ticking of the clock is ringing in my ears. I knocked on the door to Hai's office. This is a boss I value very much because of his talent and his gentle personality. Get the brochure. I stood in the lake for a long time with no intention of leaving. My boss looked up at me smiling. Is there something I want to ask you? I nodded and hesitated. I can tell you, I'm not going to work for 2 days. The boss looked at me lightly. It's like thinking about something. He got up and walked about fate. I sat down in the opposite seat. Before answering that question of mine, I want to ask you a question. I sat very short, prepared to answer the question your boss asked. The boss laughed hastily. Don't be so nervous. I didn't ask about work being private, but I feel if I don't ask and clarify, I'm afraid I'm going to lose 2 of my best employees. Do you have feelings for Nam? I opened my eyes wide and shook my head. No, don't get me wrong. Again, with him is a friend. I only ask if he doesn't work. If so, why don't you call Nam directly? As far as I know, you've been friends since high school. I couldn't answer the boss's question. He kept talking. I don't know what happened to you two, but one thing I know, Nam likes you. Not recently, but since joining the company, I saw Nam's eyes look at you very differently compared to other girls. I looked up at the boss. I don't believe what I hear through my ears. Both have been in the company for 2 years. It also means that Nam has fallen in love with you. That much time. I feel maybe he liked you a long time ago. I'm really confused right now, because until now, I still see Nam as a quiet best friend. The boss looked at me with a sigh. It seems that in love, you're both equally stupid. I also sees special interest. His is for you, but each of you can't see it. One is silent, one has bad vision. You two are quite a match. I grimaced in protest. My eyes are 10 out of 10, boss. The boss leisurely said to himself. My eyes are 10 out of 10, but only if you look to the past, in the present and the future. Those eyes only put 5 out of 10. I silently looked at the cloth. The pants and the pillow are wrinkled. It's always not good. Every day is someone else. But right now my mind is empty. The late boss softened his voice. We've got a name for each period of time. As time goes by, we call it the past. Time is happening. This moment we set as the present, and the time ahead has not yet come. We call it the future. Those names, it's not just for short definitions of words. It reminds each of us. Don't get confused in a timeline. The past should be a memory. The future is a treasure sword. But to open that sword, let's see if you use your current key. What if you know how? To sharpen that key with appreciation, with gratitude, or try and learn enthusiastically, I will open it. Not one but many other treasure swords. If you use suffering, the abandonment or the misery of something, in the future, I will be poor. That's all I mean. I'll get you off work early today to be able to cook porridge for someone with a cold. My boss's words helped me realize. It seems to myself, you are about to lose another important person. In this present life, I hurriedly stood up and said thank you. Then go home quickly. Prepare some porridge and put it in a thermos. The road to the south is empty today because it's not time to get off work. The wind blows softly, the sun is slowly changing color. The white clouds began to spread out. I can feel the steam gathering, and maybe it's starting to rain again. In front of the south gate, paper flower truss because of the strong wind that flowers fall all over the yard. I gripped the back of the thermos. I didn't have the courage to ring the bell. Suddenly a deep voice appeared behind her. Are you going to wait for the rain or something? All my attention was on the house. behind the door, so suddenly there's someone behind me that freaks me out. Loss of balance when the body prepares the VA to enter the gate. A toned arm to hold me in time. Man wearing a white t-shirt, the same comfortable shorts. He's holding a bag in his hand. I quickly stood up and looked at Nam. Where are you going when you're sick? I went to buy food. He held up a bag of food and opened the door. I hesitated, not knowing whether to come in or not. 5 frowned at my slowness like a turtle. You decide to pull my hand in and close the gate. A house with the cabinet 7, as simple as his personality. This is the first time I have entered a South Korean house. From then until now, if I have to stop by, I'll just wait in front. He gave me a glass of water and sit down across from. What are you looking for? I looked at the food on the table. Suddenly, all the courage to cook before quickly disappeared. Like a sponge male look follow my gaze. I looked at the bag I was holding. The hand seemed to understand something. He spoke up. What's in that bag? I turned to look at Nam. This is the porridge I cooked for you. But you bought food. That's it. I'm coming. I myself don't understand why. I'm nervous with Nam right now. On the way, I had a lot of questions to ask him. But since when did he really have feelings for me? Is he still mad at me? Look at Nam sitting there. My heart beats a few beats. Especially that look now on me. It's in a different sense. Stand up and prepare to leave. Man walked over and grabbed the bag, pulled me down, and then automatically opened the heat sink. He went to the kitchen and got 2 cups and a spoon. Land fragrant porridge fragrance filled the small house. Nam gave me a cup. Eat with me. You probably haven't eaten. I looked at the porridge in my hand. The hot smoke fluttered and merged into the air. He looked at Nam and ate very well. I said softly, "Is it good?" He looked at me, on a face full of joy and a little bit of happiness. Very delicious. That smile suddenly made my heart ache. This guy has always been so gentle and kind. It's like a cold winter for me. But last time, he has always tried to bring the warmth of spring to my soul. Since when did you like me? The process stops for a few seconds and then continues. Nam did not look at me but just focused on eating. Since 10th grade, I opened my eyes as wide as I could see. Nam answered calmly as usual. I can hear my voice. There's no strength. Why didn't you show up at the time? Nam put the cup down on the table and the porridge and it was gone. He leaned over and looked at me. Because I know your eyes are only on the emperor. Ro, you hide a deep sadness in your eyes. I feel my heart is heavy. This heart, I don't know where it is. The warmth from the man's hands covers my fingers. Everything will be the same as before. Nothing's changed. After saying that, Nam withdrew his hand and sat up straight. A rainstorm came by the raindrops pouring down. We don't say anything to anybody, silently listening to the rain and the rustling of the wind. As the rain music comes to an end, a spectrum of colors appears in the sky. It's been a long time since I saw the rainbow again. And it's probably been a while. I can watch the rain like this. Turned to Nam who leaned on the sofa to fall asleep. I reached out and touched his forehead. The fever hasn't gone down, just dropped the cold, everyday ice. Man now no longer looks stiff. The expression on the face is also softer. Mouth slightly arched up. Maybe he's having a beautiful dream. I've never looked closely at this guy. Past time, I take my steps indifferently on the path of life, and he's always cautious. Follow every step. Mine, slowly stroking his nose. My heart beats a few beats. Nam suddenly opened his eyes dreamily, so I hastily withdrew my hand. He quickly held my hand, my whole body, wrapped in the solid arms of the male. I hear so clearly the echoing sound of the heart to people in the chest. The male tightened, his embrace against my hair. I whispered, "Just pretend I'm sick, so the mind is not awake. I just want to hold you a little." I nodded in the heart of Nam. He slowly relaxed and his breathing was steady. The effect of the drug was to put him to sleep. It's starting to rain again. A nuclear heavy rain right now. The rain always hurts me every time I hear it. It now makes me relax and comfortable. It's not clear how long time has passed. I opened my eyes and saw that Nam was no longer on the sofa. A thin blanket covers me. The outer space has also dyed a black. 5 steps from the kitchen, leaning against the statue next to me smiling. Good night. I don't know why when I see that smile, I'm as shy as a teenager. I pretended to avoid that person's gaze, looking through the window. It's getting dark. I'm here to take you home. No need, you're sick and I drove here. You can send your car back to my house tomorrow and I'll pick you up for work. I feel like this is a key. If I accept it, I'll open a new door, where the road will have a hand. Always hold on to me. Beautiful places. Black and white nightmare 5 years ago in the hospital. It still haunts me to this day, but I still don't forget. In front of the overcast road is a field of flowers. The emperor took me there. He wants me to walk through that gate. Then please take me home. I smiled brightly at Nam. Land joy overflowed out the boy's eyes. Maybe from the beginning, South Africa is not a winter. He is the boy of autumn. Touching the world of South Africa, I feel like I'm surrounded by silence and peace. I sat in the car and held my hand around me. I also knit my fingers into the white hand. It's big and warm. Maybe now, my feelings for this guy are not much, with the love he gave me last time. But I know for sure, I'll never let go of this hand first. Maybe I'm a little selfish right now, but I want to be the only girl to warm his heart. The lights are flashing. We're all mixed up in the traffic on the road. I start stories without a head. The tail lies still listening quietly as ever. Everything seems the same as before, but it seems that I have been given a precious treasure. What you're talking about in the future. You've just listened to a short story about a promise in the rain. Of readers leave